Who would have thought that one of the most powerful empires in history, the Ottoman Empire, would be on the verge of collapse? In this video, we dive into a fascinating story full of intriguing facts and unexpected twists and turns. How could majestic palaces and brilliant battles lead to its downfall? What secrets does this era hide? Join us to unravel the mysteries and understand what caused the end of this great power. History and facts about the collapse of the Ottoman Empire. The Ottoman Empire, one of the most powerful and enduring empires in history, lasted for more than 6 centuries. From its founding in the late 13th century to its official dissolution in 1922, its influence stretched across 3 continents: Europe, Asia, and Africa. However, despite its power and greatness, the empire faced a number of internal and external challenges that eventually led to its collapse. Let's dive into this fascinating story. Early period founding and expansion. The Ottoman Empire was founded in 1299 when Osman I, a leader of a small tribe, united disparate territories in the area of modern-day Turkey. Successful military campaigns allowed him and his descendants to seize vast lands. By the 15th century, the Ottomans already controlled large parts of the Balkans, the Middle East, and North Africa. The fall of Constantinople in 1453 symbolized the power of the Ottomans and the final end of the Byzantine Empire. Golden Age. During the 16th century, the Ottoman Empire reached its peak. Under Sultan Suleiman the Magnificent, from 1520 to 1566, the empire expanded its borders to the maximum, and culture, architecture, and science flourished. Suleiman became known as a legislator and patron of the arts, and his reign became the golden age for the empire. During this time, magnificent mosques such as the Blue Mosque in Istanbul were built, and trade routes between East and West were developed. Causes of the collapse. Despite impressive achievements, by the 17th century the first signs of decline began. Internal problems such as corruption, lack of skilled personnel, and poor governance began to undermine the foundations of the empire. In addition, military defeats, such as the failure at the Battle of Vienna in 1683, showed that the Ottomans were no longer an invincible force. External threats. Over time, external threats also began to put pressure on the empire. During the 18th and 19th centuries, the Ottoman Empire faced multiple wars against Russia, Austria, and other European powers. Each of these wars weakened the empire and contributed to the loss of territory. During this time, an era known as the Eastern Question began as European powers started to divide spheres of influence in Ottoman lands. National movements. By the 19th century, national movements began to emerge in the empire. Various peoples under Ottoman rule began to seek independence. Greeks, Serbs, Bulgarians, and Arabs began to fight for their national rights. In 1821, the Greek Revolution began, which was one of the first significant uprisings against Ottoman rule. As a result, Greece gained independence in 1832, signaling to other nations that they too could fight for their freedom. Reforms and attempts at salvation. In response to the crises, the Ottoman leadership began implementing a series of reforms, known as the Tanzimat, beginning in 1839. These reforms were aimed at modernizing the army, the judiciary, and the administration. Despite the efforts, however, the reforms often faced resistance from both traditionalists and reformers, creating additional instability. World War I. By the beginning of the 20th century, the Ottoman Empire found itself drawn into World War I on the side of the Central Powers. The war became disastrous for the empire. Ottoman forces suffered defeats on the fronts and internal strife increased. After the defeat in the war in 1918, the empire was occupied by the Allied forces, which finally undermined its authority. The end of the empire. After the war, in 1920, the Treaty of Sèvres was signed, which effectively divided the remaining lands of the empire between the various powers. However, this treaty caused strong resistance among the Turkish people. Under the leadership of Mustafa Kemal Atatürk, the Turkish War of Independence began, which led to the establishment of a new, secular Turkish Republic in 1923. The collapse of the Ottoman Empire was the result of many factors: internal problems, external threats, national movements, and global conflicts. This history reminds us of how even the most powerful powers can run into difficulties and eventually disappear from the historical scene. An empire once considered a symbol of power and culture has left behind a profound legacy that continues to influence the modern world.